I found this small metallic tool on the ground in a park. It's about 5 inches long, with a heavy cylindrical head and a narrow rod handle. The head can be unscrewed, as well as the small part above it. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a mekugi-nuki, a small Japanese tool used to remove the bamboo or wooden peg called a mekugi that secures the blade of a sword inside its handle. The short cylindrical head works as a light hammer, while a small removable pin unscrews from the tool and is used to push the peg out. The design is centuries old and has changed very little. During Japan's feudal period, samurai and craftsmen considered it essential to maintain swords regularly, and the mekugi-nuki was always part of the standard maintenance kit, along with oil and paper. They were commonly made of brass, hard enough to drive out a peg, yet soft enough not to damage the steel of the blade. I found this mysterious object that once belonged to my great-grandfather. It rests in a small decorative box, lined with red velvet, and is about half the size of a banana. There are no markings or inscriptions on it. My great-grandfather lived in Liverpool and was a preacher, so it might have had some religious connection. Does anyone know what this object is? What you found is a tear bottle, also known as a lacrimatory or tear catcher. These small vessels, often made of glass, pottery, or alabaster, were historically associated with the idea of collecting tears shed in mourning. The tradition of tear bottles has roots going back to antiquity. Archaeologists uncovered small vials in Roman and Greek tombs that were long believed to be lacrimatories. Modern analysis shows they usually contain scented oils used in funerary rites, but the romantic interpretation of tear catchers stuck. In Japan, Persia, and later in Victorian England, the idea reappeared in folklore and popular imagination. By the 19th century, travelers and collectors brought back ancient vials labeled as tear bottles, and the myth grew that mourners held them to their eyes to capture tears and then placed the bottle, filled with those tears, in the grave. I found this strange box off the side of a nature trail while hiking. It has dials and connectors, and it looks like it might be a radio or some kind of control unit. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a Western electric telephone answering machine from the 1960s, a device designed to automatically answer phone calls and record voice messages. Specifically, this is likely the Code A-Phone 700, introduced around 1966 and commonly leased to businesses by the Bell system. Unlike the small cassette machines that became popular later, this was an industrial-grade unit, weighing over 25 pounds. When connected to a landline, it would detect incoming calls, play a recorded greeting, and then record the caller's voice onto magnetic tape. Western Electric's answering machines were part of a broader effort in the mid-20th century to automate office communication. I found this strange object while cleaning out my grandmother's shed. It's made of heavy metal. The bottom blades are actually quite sharp, and the whole thing looks pretty old. Any idea what this was used for? This item is most likely a bell chopper, an antique kitchen tool used in the late 19th and early 20th centuries to quickly chop vegetables, cooked meat, or herbs. It was invented in the 1890s, and the best-known version was patented on May 2nd, 1893, by Nelson Streeter of New York. Many surviving examples are marked with that patent date, often accompanied by a model number like number 40 or number 60, indicating how many blades the chopper had. The blades are curved and arranged in a bell-shaped cluster, which is how it got the nickname bell chopper. I found this strange object while walking on the beach in Palos Verdes, California. There were several of them scattered around, and some even had water inside. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a horn shark egg case. These curious objects are sometimes called mermaids' corkscrews because of their unusual spiral shape, and they're commonly mistaken for man-made debris when discovered on the beach. During breeding season, female horn sharks lay their eggs 2 at a time every 10 to 14 days, carefully placing each one into rocky crevices or among underwater vegetation. To do this, the mother uses her mouth to wedge the soft, flexible case into place. Over time, it hardens into a tough, protein-rich shell. The spiral flanges serve an important purpose. They help anchor the case securely and may also assist with water circulation, allowing oxygen to reach the developing embryo inside. This statue was given to my grandfather when he was a child in Chicago, likely in the 1920s or 1930s. It's about 15 inches tall and appears to be made of painted ceramic or porcelain. There are no markings, and the base is concave. I've spent hours searching, but still haven't found any solid clues. This is a late 19th century commemorative porcelain figurine, most likely produced in Germany. It depicts a Prussian and a Bavarian soldier shaking hands, a powerful symbol of unity during the formation of the German Empire. The figurine likely dates to the years following the Franco-Prussian War of 1870 to 1871. In that conflict, the Kingdom of Prussia led a coalition of German states, including Bavaria, to defeat France and unify the German nation. One of the most significant moments was the Battle of Sedan in 1870, where Prussian and Bavarian troops fought side by side. The victory became a national holiday known as Sedentag or Sedan Day, celebrated every September 2nd for nearly 50 years. I found these two heavy objects buried in the backyard of our 150-year-old house, which was originally built in 1869 and used to be a farm. They look like long, rusted metal weights with loops at the top for attaching a rope. Does anyone know what they are? What you found are sash window weights, heavy cast iron counterweights, once hidden inside the walls of old double-hung windows. Each weight was tied to a rope or chain that ran over a pulley at the top of the window frame, balancing the heavy sash so it could be raised or lowered smoothly without slamming shut. This design dates back to the 18th century and became standard in American houses throughout the 19th century, including homes like yours built in the 1860s. Foundries across the country produced thousands of these long cylindrical weights in different sizes to match window sashes. While touring an old house from 1833, I noticed this wooden bracket mounted to the wall. It's made of oak, and inside the groove there's a marble that can roll back and forth. Does anyone know what this is? What you found is a wooden towel holder with a marble inside, often called a magic marble towel holder. When the edge of a towel is slipped between the marble and the wooden groove, gravity pulls the marble down, pressing the fabric tightly against the wood. The more you pull on the towel, the tighter the marble holds it in place. To release the towel, you simply lift it upward, and the marble rolls back, letting the fabric slide free. This design dates back to the early 20th century. In 1921, Claus Edward Erickson of Des Moines, Iowa, patented one of the first towel holders of this type. I came across this vintage flat trowel tool that was donated to a museum. It has no stamps or markings of any kind, and one side is blunted. It might have been meant to be sharp, but I'm not sure. What you found is a United States Model 1880 entrenching tool, a compact one-handed spade issued to American soldiers in the late 19th century. It was originally carried in a fitted leather scabbard on the soldier's belt. Its origins can be traced to the experiments of Civil War veteran Edmund Rice, who in 1869 patented the trowel bayonet, an early attempt to combine a bayonet with a digging tool. The Army soon abandoned the bayonet spade idea, but by 1880 it adopted separate entrenching tools, like this model spade and its cousin, the Model 1880 hunting knife, to ensure every soldier could dig in for protection. I found this unusual bowl at Goodwill, and it looks kind of creepy because the inside is full of sharp metal spikes. The spikes are pretty sharp, so I'm not sure what it was meant for. Could it be for juicing, or maybe for holding something upright? What you found is a flower frog, a vintage floral arranging tool designed to hold flower stems in place. When placed at the bottom of a vase or bowl, the frog grips the stems so they stay upright and can be arranged at precise angles. This allowed florists and homemakers to create elegant, stable arrangements. The tool was first used in Japan in the 14th century, where it was called a kenzan. It was essential in ikebana, the Japanese art of flower arranging. In the United States and Europe, flower frogs became especially popular in the early 20th century. I spotted this long cylindrical object hanging from power lines in Ohio. It looks to be about 2 feet long. Does anyone know what it's for? This object is most likely a wind counterweight, a device used on overhead power lines to prevent dangerous movement caused by strong winds. When wind blows across long spans of wire, especially in flat or icy regions, The lines can begin to sway or twist in a motion known as galloping. If left unchecked, this can cause serious damage or even lead to power outages. The counterweight works like a pendulum. By hanging below the line, it adds mass and sometimes causes a slight twisting motion that helps break up the galloping pattern. I found that this old tool that belonged to my great-grandmother, but no one in the family can figure out what it is. It was stored with other household items. The handle looks like wood, and the case has some faint writing that's hard to read. Does anyone know what this tool is? What you found is a vintage ink eraser knife, a small desk tool that was once common in the age of dip pens and fountain pens. Its purpose was to scrape dried ink from paper by shaving off a thin layer of the surface fibers. This was the standard way of correcting mistakes in writing before chemical erasers or correction fluid were available. After scraping, the rough spot on the paper could be burnished, since older paper was generally thicker and sturdier. I found this small blue box zip-tied to the water pipe going into our house. It's not connected to anything and has no markings. My mom thinks it's related to water filtration, but I'm not sure. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a magnetic water conditioner, a device that claims to treat hard water using only the power of magnets. Inside the blue casing are strong permanent magnets, usually placed on either side of the pipe. As water flows through the magnetic field, the minerals that cause hardness, primarily calcium and magnesium, are said to change their behavior. Rather than forming hard, crusty scale on pipes and appliances, the minerals supposedly remain suspended in the water or crystallize in a softer, less sticky form. However, most scientific studies have failed to show consistent results, and the effectiveness of these devices remains widely debated. I saw this strange tank attached to a power line pole near a residential neighborhood. It looks old, about 4 feet tall, and has faded paint. This object is most likely a cable pressurization cylinder, a steel tank filled with dry compressed gas, usually nitrogen, mounted on a telephone pole to protect underground communication cables. The system works by feeding dry gas into sealed cable splices and enclosures. If a small leak develops in the sheath, the internal pressure pushes the air outward, preventing water from getting in. During the mid-20th century, this was the Bell system's standard method for keeping lines dry, so effective it was sometimes referred to as the life support of the telephone network. In the last video, I asked you to guess what this small silver container with a tiny spatula might be used for. Everyone had great guesses, and many of you got it right. This item is an old perfume bottle. You would dip the spatula inside the bottle and then dab a little perfume on your neck. The rubber seal on the cap kept the perfume from spilling. Thank you to everyone who participated and shared your guesses. A special shout out to Mike DFGFJ for being the first to correctly identify it. Alright, it's time for another mystery item. Take a look at this small brass object. It's an extendable hollow tube about 2 inches long that clicks when the inner tube slides into the outer one. What do you think it's used for? Leave your guesses in the comments, and I'll reveal the answer in the next video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Your support motivates me to create more videos. See you next time.